All right, let's get into it. We're going to break down the absolutely chaotic and, let's be honest, morally messy plot of the 2011 Jason Statham thriller Blitz. This is one of those stories about a rogue cop up against a cop killer, where that line between justice and pure vengeance just gets completely erased. You know, this quote right here, this tells you everything you need to know about our main guy. It's what Sergeant Tom Brandt says after he's just used a hurling stick, yeah, a hurling stick, on a few guys. It's not just a weapon to him. It shows you he sees the world as this brutal, violent game, and he's playing to win.
So this whole story is really built around two people. On one side, you've got this totally unhinged cop, and on the other, you have a calculating killer who decides to start hunting police officers.
Okay, so meet Sergeant Brandt. He is basically a ticking time bomb wearing a police badge. I mean, his bosses are actively trying to get him thrown off the force. He's got a list of infractions a mile long, from bugging his superintendent's office to beating a felon unconscious. This job is all he knows, but man, you can just feel he's one bad day away from snapping for good. And right when Brandt is in the middle of his own internal investigation, this new threat just appears out of nowhere. A mysterious killer murders Officer Sandra Bates, starts calling up journalists to brag, and gives himself a nickname, the Blitz. He's armed with a hammer, he's anonymous, and his only targets are cops. He's the perfect dark mirror to our so-called hero. So, with a cop killer running loose and their own department in total chaos, it's pretty clear Brandt can't handle this by himself. Command figures they need a totally different kind of cop on this, and, well, that leads to a very, very unlikely partnership. So in walks Inspector Nash, and this guy is everything Brandt is not. He's been brought over from some fancy West London branch to bring a bit of professionalism to the whole mess. He's calm, he's by the book, and he's openly gay, which immediately makes him an outsider in this rough-and-tumble station. He's supposed to be the voice of reason. But here is the twist. Nash is not the squeaky clean cop he appears to be. He drops this bombshell. He admits that after the legal system failed to convict a powerful pedophile, he just took matters into his own hands. And this confession is so brilliant because it proves that underneath that professional exterior, Nash gets it. He understands the exact same dark impulse that drives Brandt. So now we've got Brandt and Nash, our reluctant partners, just as the killer decides to up the ante, turning the entire city into his own personal hunting ground. And the pace just gets insane. After killing Officer Bates, the Blitz finds Chief Inspector Roberts, kills him with a hammer, and then sets his apartment on fire. Then he calls a journalist to take credit, creating this whole media persona and promising that a lot more chaos is on the way. And then he gives the press this number. Just one number. 8. He promises there are 8 more police officers on his list. The threat is just terrifyingly clear. Every single cop in the city is now a target. So, as the pressure is building and every cop is looking over their shoulder, the investigation finally catches a break. A tip comes in that points them towards a psychopath who's got a history with the police. Their prime suspect is a guy named Barry Weiss. The tip actually comes from an informant that Brandt uses, who tells him all about Weiss's disturbing past. He's a small-time crook that Brandt himself put in the hospital a year ago, and get this, he's infamous for a viral video where he set a police dog on fire, chillingly explaining he did it for practice. The second they have his name, the hunt is on. It just explodes into this wild car chase through London, which then turns into a frantic foot chase across a huge train depot. It all ends with Brandt finally getting his hands on his man. They got him. Or so they think. But in the interrogation room, Weiss is just cool as a cucumber. His demands aren't just demands, they're pure arrogance. He knows the game. He knows that catching him and convicting him are two totally different things, and he is not scared in the slightest. Yeah, Weiss's attitude really highlights the problem here. The system is about to fail them. They have their guy, but the evidence is weak, and it forces Brandt and Nash to think about what happens when the law isn't enough, and you have to take justice off the books. And that's really the million-dollar question, isn't it? Everybody knows he's the guy, they have him sitting right there, but can they actually prove it in a court of law? And the answer is a big, fat no. The whole case just falls apart. Weiss was too smart. The fire at the second crime scene destroyed any forensics, witnesses suddenly get too scared to testify, and he has a plausible excuse for every piece of evidence they have. Legally speaking, they've got nothing. So, just as Weiss is about to walk free, Brandt plays his last card.
He looks at Nash and reminds him of his own past, of that story he told. He reminds his partner that when the system failed him, he didn't just give up, he found another way. And this is the moment where their two violent, frustrated philosophies finally click into place.
Not long after Weiss is released, he's found dead at the bottom of his apartment building. Brandt, just standing there over the body, looks at Nash and delivers this final, chilling line. It's not a confession, you know? It's more like a statement of their new shared reality. And so, on the books, the case is closed. The Blitz killings are officially unsolved. But the real question the movie leaves us with is, when the law isn't enough to get justice, what's supposed to take its place? And who gets to be the one to decide?